Imagine this, you are working a dead-end job, surviving on minimum wage, and looking at a $50 million net worth as nothing but a financial fantasy. But when that massive number actually hits your bank account, the entire world changes around you. Your money creates an invisible script for every single relationship you have. Most people think it is simple. They think women only care about superficial things like luxury cars, big houses, or flashiness. They think money is a cheap cheat code for love. But behavioral economics and evolutionary psychology prove that the shift in female behavior is not about simple greed. It is driven by a deeply embedded survival defense mechanism. As your wealth scales from 0 to 50 million, the respect, compliance, and even the psychological barriers of the women around you change according to very specific sociological laws. Let us break down this wealth journey into key milestones. When a man is at absolute financial zero, he experiences a form of social quarantine. Social exchange theory shows us that the human brain has an automated cost-benefit system. It naturally triggers indifference toward anyone who cannot provide baseline security. In this state of absolute scarcity, your evolutionary signal is entirely muted to the biological sorting mechanisms of the modern world. Financial zero represents a high-risk liability. Society, by default, isolates those who cannot carry their own economic weight, meaning that your interactions are often defined by transactional friction or systemic invisibility. But the moment you hit that first $1 million mark, the script flips. You stop being a financial risk and become a highly predictable, stable partner. Your economic capital seamlessly converts into social status. Data shows that crossing this baseline triggers an over 350% increase in proactive female approaches and emotional tolerance. It is not malicious opportunism. It is simply that financial stability calms the human nervous system's built-in anxiety about survival. When you cross into the single-digit millionaire category, women perceive you as a viable long-term partner who can guarantee a predictable environment for potential offspring. The social cues shift dramatically, where casual dismissals turn into polite engagements, and your words carry an unearned weight of authority. However, this is merely the first phase of the wealth transition. As your net worth escalates from $1 million to $10 million, you enter the arena of the upper middle class and the sub-ultra-high net worth individuals. In this zone, the nature of attraction undergoes a qualitative upgrade. Women are no longer just looking at your ability to pay rent or provide basic security. They are assessing your access to exclusive networks, your cultural sophistication, and your capacity to elevate their own social standing. At $10 million, you represent an escape from the mundane anxieties of middle-class life, and the female behavioral response adjusts accordingly by offering higher levels of agreeableness and a greater willingness to adapt to your lifestyle preferences. But what happens when you cross 10 million and head toward 50 million? Now you are not just a player in the game. You are a rule maker and a resource allocator. You have entered a financial stratosphere inhabited by a fraction of 1% of the global population. At this level, female attraction is not about simple like or dislike. It is about strategic alignment and the subconscious recognition of absolute power. The woman entering your orbit will display an uncanny level of attentiveness, reading your micro-expressions, anticipating your needs, and tolerating your personal flaws to a degree that would seem impossible to a man making average wages. This near-perfect social feedback is the natural byproduct of immense capital gravity. Throughout history, resources equaled survival, and individuals with the most resources held absolute sway over the survival vectors of the tribe. Even though we live in a digital world today, our brains are still running ancient, Paleolithic software from the savannah. In the subconscious mind, a $50 million portfolio means an inexhaustible supply of security, shelter, and absolute immunity from external threats. In the ancient ancestral environment, an individual who controlled such massive leverage was the apex protector. Modern financial systems have simply abstracted this ancient evolutionary dynamic into bank statements and asset portfolios. When a woman interacts with a man of this economic caliber, her deep evolutionary programming interprets his financial mass as a genetic and environmental green light, triggering psychological responses of deep respect, intense compliance, and an instinctual drive to secure a position within his protective umbrella. However, most mainstream creators completely ignore the brutal psychological tax of ultra-wealth. There is a dark side to making it, defined by permanent trust paralysis and the systematic alienation of true intimacy. When you are worth $50 million, you effectively lose the ability to see people's true motives. Your wealth acts like a thick suit of armor around your soul, filtering out the raw, unvarnished human reactions that ordinary people take for granted. You will constantly ask yourself, is she in love with my unique consciousness? Or is she just making a well-hedged investment in my empire? This financial asymmetry breeds chronic hypervigilance, making authentic vulnerability an expensive, terrifying luxury. You begin to realize that the overwhelming warmth, the endless compliments, and the absolute submissiveness you receive might simply be a perfectly executed performance designed to appeal to your ego and secure access to your capital. This creates a deep, lingering paranoia that erodes the foundation of spontaneous romance. You are trapped in a golden panopticon where everyone is laughing at your jokes and agreeing with your opinions, not because you are genuinely funny or wise, but because your financial gravity commands their submission. Even worse, rapid success can violently fracture your past relationships. An extreme wealth gap creates unbearable cognitive dissonance and status anxiety for a partner who stood by you when you were broke, leading to defensive isolation and emotional retreat. When your economic velocity outpaces your existing social circle, a profound divergence occurs. A woman who loved you at zero assets may find herself completely unequipped to navigate the social expectations, high-stakes environments, and hyper-competitive networks of a $50 million reality. This gap breeds resentment, suspicion, and a paralyzing fear of replacement, causing the original bond to dissolve under the immense pressure of status stratification. The realization that money cannot repair these systemic psychological rifts can leave an ultra-wealthy individual stranded in a profound state of emotional isolation, surrounded by endless superficial adoration, but entirely starved of genuine, unbought connection. Understanding this complex psychological blueprint should not make you cynical, bitter, or misanthropic. Instead, it should give you a clear, mature framework to master your own destiny and navigate the simulated realities of ultra-wealth. True wealth mastery is never about using money to objectify relationships, nor is it about getting drunk on the synthetic compliance of those who depend on your resources. It is about keeping your inner sovereignty and emotional sensitivity while wielding immense external leverage. It gives you the rare ability to see past the fog of sycophancy, allowing you to observe human behavior with a calm, detached realism. Also understand that the dramatic shifts in female behavior are largely driven by evolutionary survival scripts rather than personal malice or simple greed. You can stop taking the performance personally. You can learn to appreciate the social harmony that wealth provides while fiercely protecting the sanctity of your private, psychological domain. This allows you to find high-value partners who possess the rare psychological maturity to see past your financial monument, individuals who neither flatter you for your abundance nor mock you for your scarcity, but who are capable of meeting you as an intellectual and emotional equal. If you want to dive deeper into the core mechanics of business, behavioral psychology, and high-dimensional evolution within this volatile capital era, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe, and join our community of high-cognition thinkers. Let us build real freedom, both on our balance sheets and in our human connections.